I'm Sheri Winston,
And I'm Jaya.
and we are the facilitators, among other things, of the
Super
Sex
Sex Makeover.
Makeover.
It's a 3-day retreat experience where we help you to connect to your full sexual, erotic potential.
Yum, 3 whole days.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good.
So we want to share with you right now some tips about female arousal, and not just female arousal, but full female arousal. What does that look like, Sheri?
Full female arousal means that all the parts of the woman are turned on. And what that looks like is a woman in ecstasy. You see it in her face, her eyes, her whole body, and in her genitals.
Mm-hmm.
And genital full arousal means full engorgement of the entire female erectile network.
Mm-hmm. Now, what might that look like? 'Cause, okay, so when you say a woman in ecstasy, I think that a lot of people think it's the, porn sort of like, and ecstasy might not look like that. So what are some examples of what that might look like, and what would her genitals look like? Because I don't think anybody really knows what that looks like except for us who've really seen full female arousal.
Well, I think there is a lot of faux arousal.
A lot of
in
faux arousal
porn,
happening.
where actresses are doing their best to act the way they think they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that I think that hurts us in the sense that it gives people an idea of what they think sex is supposed to look like on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, this is about an experience that you feel from the inside. So it might look different for different people, but arousal is an altered state of consciousness. And when someone is fully aroused, they're deeply in that trance state.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that you can see. You can see in their face and their eyes, but I don't know, they're hard to describe.
Mm-hmm. I see sometimes it's a deepening of breath in the body.
It's part of it.
It can be quiet. Sometimes the pupils dilate.
Yeah, usually.
Sometimes the chest gets flush,
the
red.
sex flush. That's
Mhm.
always, that's a sign. Although not everybody has the sex flush. That can be variable. A lot of people think a woman is fully aroused if her vagina is wet.
Right.
And that's
not true at all. I can be
Lubri-
fully aroused without lubrication.
without lubrication, and other women can be very, very wet and barely be aroused at all. So that's one of those signs that's not a good indicator. And one of the signs that is an excellent indicator is what's going on with the genitals. Because women have a network of structures made out of erectile tissue. That's what penises are made out of, and you know about penises. They can go from small and soft to big and hard, and it's a very obvious and frankly impressive ability that penises have.
Penises are amazing.
Aren't they? And here's the thing.
So are
Vulvas. So are women's genitals, because women, we have just as much erectile tissue as men. It's in a network of structures, and when we are fully aroused, all of those structures are fully engorged. And it's quite visible from the outside. You can see the outer labia, underneath them, there are these big bulbs of erectile tissue, and they get really big and swollen and puff everything out. The inner labia.
the colors change. I also notice like a red. Some women even go deep purple colors.
Just like penises, right? That darkening of color because they're filling with blood. The clitoral structures also get engorged. But what's interesting is depending on how the arrangement of the hood is, it might be that the head of the clitoris is more obvious.
Peeks out.
It might peek out more. It might get pulled up underneath the hood and you can't see it at all.
I call it a clit boner.
A clip.
I actually got that from a woman I was in sexological bodywork training with, and she called it a clip boner. I thought it was awesome.
That's
I was
great.
like, I'm totally taking that term.
Well, I like to use when we see a vulva that's fully aroused, I call it a erection.
Erections, clip boners. It's amazing.
It's fabulous. And if you were looking carefully, you would also see the vulva open like a flower that's blooming open. There's that
As the tissues underneath
convulsing.
swell, it's like it kind
Yeah.
of pushes it open. Yeah.
So there's a lot going on that's quite visible externally.
And how long does this normally take, Sheri, for a woman to fully get aroused? And how would she, how does she know? Because I know for me, it's like, hurry up and get that penis in there. Before I'm ready, psychologically, I'm like, I like that in there.
Well, it could be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And that really blows most people away when you start saying 45 minutes. of stimulating your mind, the rest of your body, and all the outer parts of the genitals. Because for most women, arousal tends to go from outside to inside. So you really want to get the whole body and then the outer part of the genitals nice and juicy and engorged before you even start thinking about putting anything inside. And then you want to make sure all the inside parts are getting engorged, which includes the G-spot, which I like to call the urethral sponge, which is above the roof. There's erectile tissue under the floor, and all of those get engorged. And when everything is happy, then you have full arousal, and that can take a while. And it's okay that it takes a while, and it's normal that it takes a while.
Right. So don't feel that something's wrong with you if you're not ready for penetration in 10 minutes.
In fact, one of the ways women can really help themselves and their partners is to be a good guardian of that gate and not allow anyone to put anything inside you or yourself until it feels fabulous, until you're just dying to have something inside.
Well, that's like 30 seconds for me.
Well, but if it feels good for you, that's fine. It's, it's not there's not a right or wrong. It's about being tuned into your own pleasure. So if you're at the point of arousal that quickly where it feels great to have something inside you, go for it. For most women, it's going to be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes till we're at that point of arousal. Although the more we know how to turn ourselves on and use our internal toolkit to get our arousal up, the quicker we could get to that point, if that's our desire at the moment.
If we learn how to sing ourselves.
Yeah, play our own instruments.
Someone once told me that they don't need to do much with Jaya because she can sing herself. So maybe that's why I'm ready for it in 30 seconds.
I think it's part of it. It's definitely part of it. The other thing is, though, in our culture, we seem to value how quickly can we get where we're going,
right?
Instead of enjoying the journey and
savoring.
recognizing that taking a half hour, an hour to get deeply and fully aroused and turned on is fabulous.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Being a new mom, I forget that sometimes.
Well, and sometimes you don't have that time.
Right.
And you want to be able to have a 5 or 10 minute quickie and be able to get aroused and have an amazing orgasm. And if you decide you're going to take a longer time to get your arousal deeper and fuller, and you're going to get more and more into that altered trance state of arousal, then when you get to the orgasms, plural, you can get into those mega orgasm states where you just orgasm for an hour. Now that's a good use of your time.
Yummy.
Even for a new mom.
Orgasms for an hour. You can join us to learn more about that at supersexmakeover.com.
Because ecstasy is your birthright, so claim it now. Come join us at the Super Sex Makeover.